Okay, so for those of you watching on YouTube, just jumping in here for the midday market recap. So, like I said, I was fully prepared not to take any trades today. I wasn't seeing anything that was very good on the gap scanners. If I pull back the charts here and show you the gap scanner from this morning, and then I go right click and I choose, let's see, historical time, and I scan at 8:46 a.m., this is what the scanner looked like. It was all heavier float stocks, lots of white. And this is not the type of stuff that I like to trade. I look for the yellow, and there wasn't much in the way of yellow on the scan today. So that's how I knew right away pre-market this was not going to be necessarily my go-to day. You know, they're probably not the day that I would have a really big winner. But then all of a sudden we had DMPI hit the scanners. Now, when it first hit the scanners, it was at $1. It was at $2.15. And I was like, okay, you know, $2.15. It's a little on the cheap side. It's just starting to pop up. It looks interesting, but I'm not sure if there's going to be really anything there to trade. But I checked the headlines on it. Why? Because there were three things that I liked right away. The first thing I liked was the daily chart. This had room up to 247, which is the 50 moving average. Above that level, room to 375, which is the 200 moving average. And we have this little gap right here on the daily chart from about 320 to 375 at the 200. And the gap goes all the way up to 401. So when I saw that, I saw this has a good daily chart, number one. Number two, I can tell just by looking at the name of the stock, it's pharmaceuticals, and the IBB has been really strong. So I'm thinking sector strength. This is a stock in a really strong sector right now. Look at the IBB from $294 all the way up to $321 in the last 4 trading sessions. It's a really big move. So it has a strong daily chart. It's a pharmaceutical stock, so it's in a hot sector. And the float is, I think it was 9 million shares. So it's a relatively low float stock. Now, the next thing I need is news, because that's what got me yesterday on DRAM. I jumped in DRAM and there was no news on it. Having said that, ZN on Monday had no news and went from $2 to $5. So it doesn't mean you can't have a great trade without news, but certainly helps to have a headline. So I go onto MarketWatch and I'm like, all right, what's the headline on? Is there anything on this today? And I'm like, please let there be news on this, because that's going to give me a reason to take this trade. And right now it's looking pretty good. It's got 3 out of the 4 criteria. I check and I see, let's see, late stage study to lead, product candidate VAL 083. And this was a clinical trial, phase 3 clinical trial. So I'm like, okay, there's news. That's what I'm looking for. So now we're starting to knock off pretty much everything on my criteria of what I look for in a trade. The one thing that we are lacking is overall strength in the small caps. The small caps, as of the last month or so, have been a little on the weak side. A lot of the ones that pop up end up fading back down, and that is what happened on this. But when we had that combination of the news, the chart, the sector, and everything else, I said, all right, I'm just going to take a stab at this. Now, here's my concern. When it first hit the scanners, there was only like 38,000 shares of volume on this candle. There was only about 89,000 shares of volume total. So I was like, this is a very thinly traded stock. This is not something I would feel comfortable putting out an alert on. I don't really like to do that. I'd rather see more volume on it. So I was like, all right, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start taking a position. I'm going to start accumulating a position. And if other people see this and they like the same setup, they'll do the same. So I started accumulating a position at 230, adding at 240, and adding at 256 when we had this micro pullback. So this is one of the ones where I started adding as soon as I saw it popping up and it seemed strong. I started with 2,500 shares, adding another 2,500, adding another 2,500, adding another 2,500, and then on this pullback here, adding another 5,000. I had 17,500 shares with an average of 234. So my average was right down in this area, 234. And as we popped up to a high of 273, I was up 40 cents with 17,000 shares. That's nearly $7,000 in profit. But I didn't want to sell there because I thought this could have been the one trade that could make my month. If this, on the first pullback, which I was totally fine to hold through, this first pullback right here, had gone up on this candle and broken the high of 73 and gone into the 80s, 280, 295, $3, we didn't have any resistance until 320 and then 375. This is a trade that potentially I could have made a full point per share, which would be $17,500. Potentially. And with an average at 234, I didn't feel that holding through this pullback was giving up profit necessarily. I mean, yes, I gave back about $3,000 in profit from the high of day to the low of this pullback. And this is where I ended up stopping out, was on this red candle as we retested the low of this pullback right here. This was the problem that, this is where I, stopped out right down here. But had this gone up to 73, 280, 285, $3, which is what we would normally expect of a 1 minute pullback, this would have easily been a $10,000 trade. 12,000, 15,000, not out of this world. And considering the fact that last month I only finished with $17,000 of profit, if I could hit that with one trade right now, that would totally turn around my month. So I was being a little more aggressive on it, but I think I had good reason to be more aggressive because it met all of the criteria that I look for a home run trade. So as it came back down, I was very quick to bail out at 250 rather than let it break back down below the $0.50 and stop me out break even. So as a result, I'm taking $2,797 profit on this trade. And that's not a bad day. I mean, it's really not. That's that I'm okay with. I'm definitely not upset that I didn't sell for 5,000 or for 6,000 because I know if this had gone on that 1 minute pullback up to 85 and 90, I would have been like, why? This had everything I look for. Why did I sell it for only 30 cents? That was stupid. You don't see an A quality setup all that often. So when you have one, you want to try to make the most of it. So anyways, that was my trade on DMPI. Obviously, it didn't end up being the big trade that I thought it would be. And I think that's a sign of the market that we're in right now. Remember earlier this year and also last year, we were in a market where when a stock like DRYS would start squeezing, all of a sudden we'd have 3, 4, 5, or 6 other stocks that would start popping up. And it was just like sympathy momentum. And it was almost like a feeding frenzy. You have one stock go crazy and get halted on a circuit breaker. And then another one gets halted on a circuit breaker. And another one. And what is that? It's fear of missing out. It's FOMO. It's collective traders all around the world seeing these opportunities and jumping in this and jumping in that and jumping in the next one. And, that created an opportunity where we were able to be incredibly profitable. $70,000 for me in the month of February, $50,000 in the month of January. So I, of course, am waiting for that to happen again. If this had been one of those days where we had that feeding frenzy going on, I think this would have easily gone to $3, maybe $3.50, and I pretty easily would have made $10,000 on it at a minimum. So I'm setting myself up for these trades. Now, it may be a couple more weeks until we start to see really good follow through, but I'll be there, ready to position myself aggressively when I see that setup. And I will have that trade that gives me that $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 winner like I had earlier this year. It's just right now we're not in a market that's giving those up very easily. All right, so that's about it for today. I didn't get in at 220. I started adding at 230. 230, 232, or maybe it's 228, but not 220. It was as it was popping up over 225. So I think it was 228 that I first got in. But anyways, so some solid, one solid trade today, and that's all it takes to hit your daily goal, really. So definitely pleased with that, and I'm hopeful that we'll have a decent trade, decent opportunities again tomorrow. Today's gains gets me out of the hole from yesterday, and so my week is not the $5,000 profit that I was hoping it would be, but we'll see. Maybe I'll have something on Friday, maybe not. Maybe I've got to wait till next week. But of course, if I have just one trade anytime in the next 5 days that's has this potential and actually does what I think it's going to do, that could be my $10,000 or $15,000 winner. And that one trade can completely turn around your month. So I haven't lost hope that this month could finish in pretty good shape, but it really just depends on what the market's willing to give me. And the reality is, if it doesn't happen in the next 5 days, it's not a big deal. If it happens on day 6, that's fine. If it happens on the first day of July or the second, third, fourth, fifth day of July, that's fine too. I'm here and ready. It's just a matter of kind of that perfect storm coming together. The market being strong catalyst, strong sector, hot sector, maybe global events, and that creates the opportunity. So I'm still in this kind of grinding pattern. Yesterday was a step back, today was a step forward. Step back, step forward, step back, step forward. I'd like to get out of that oscillation and really start moving up a bit more, but like I've said, it's I'm a little bit limited in what I can do in this market without deviating away from my core strategy. If I start trading sub-strategies and being more aggressive on reversals, or start branching into the higher price stocks, that's fine, but my accuracy will decline because I'm not as good in those. And then that might turn into, instead of grinding, starting to go down in profits, because those aren't the stocks I usually hit home runs on. So anyways, that's about it for this morning here as we come in to the lunch hour. All right, so I hope you guys did well this morning, and I'll see you all first thing. Those of you in the chat room, I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning. All right, those of you on Facebook and on YouTube, hopefully I'll see you at 1 p.m. in our webinar, which will be in about 1 hour. Okay, so I'll see you guys soon. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Well, I was just working on the dream board for my next home run trade. Hopefully it comes soon. Until then, make sure you subscribe to get email alerts anytime I go live or upload new videos. Until then, happy surfing